All right, everyone, it's fun to see the same people who applaud like socialism and leftism and communism in general jumping down Trump's throat for daring to step across the DMZ into North Korea and like shake hands with Kim Jong-un. It was funny because there's a very funny image I saw on 4chan last night. It was just like it showed Obama and he's behind like 4 or 5 inches of bulletproof glass with binoculars, looking across the DMZ from a mile of fucking way, from a fucking pillbox on the South Korean side. And, talking about how he's weak and shit like that. And then Trump's like, fuck it, basically. He just walks across with no guards. Optics win for Trump. A big optics win. It shows that negotiations are ongoing. This kind of stylized, very theatrical behavior is very deliberate. And somebody pointed out, and I had forgotten about this, I had joked quite some time ago about Trump, maybe crossing into North Korea or something. And it was tongue-in-cheek at the time, because I didn't figure that would actually physically happen. It would be really legendary if the next summit's in North Korea, if it's in Pyongyang. Trump is in absolutely no goddamn danger if he goes to North Korea, and he knows it. Here's the thing, Obama took it very strategically. He's like, well, North Korea is like a hostile state. I've been warned it could be a problem. What if they poison me or something? If Trump were to go into North Korea, let's just argue devil's advocate here. He goes into North Korea, gets poisoned, and he almost dies, or they shoot him in the head. What happens? Pyongyang gets nuked off the face of the earth in retribution, and most of North Korea is killed instantly. He knows that. He doesn't give a fuck. Even Pence was like looking across the binoculars. It was funny, because every president other than Herbert Walker, this in recent history, has visited the DMZ. Herbert Walker was vice president, though, and visited it at one point, so that sort of still counts. So every other president's visited it, but he's the only president who's actually gone into North Korea. No other president has, because of course before the 50s there was no North Korea, it was just Korea. And so presidents back then couldn't have. Trump is the only one with the balls to have done so. This sort of rapport being built between North and South Korea especially, but also between Trump and Kim Jong-un uniquely as individuals, as figureheads, charismatic leaders with certain things in common in their governance style. Sort of that theatrical bent to things, Trump having been basically a master actor most of his life. It goes well. It could bring about peace. This is the closest that we've had to peace in the Korean Peninsula since North and South Korea split in the first place. I think that that's a good thing, and to watch people who are supposedly liberal deriding him and saying he shouldn't be meeting with dictators, he shouldn't be meeting with mean people, how else do you expect peace to actually occur? And meanwhile, people were hilariously posting pictures of FDR when he was sitting next to Joseph Stalin back in the 40s. I'm not sure that's the best example, because Stalin was, really truly a despicable human being. Kim Jong-un is just following in the footsteps of his parents and of his parent anyway. And some people have pointed out, well, and this you get them to jump down your throat too. You're like, well, we do shitty things too. We have people executed, we drone people overseas, we bomb things all the time and invade. And it's like people say, no, it's totally different. No, it's not. Not really. We've got way more people in prison than North Korea ever has. Don't you think that's a fucking problem? I remember when liberals were like, oh, we need prison reform. Trump passes prison reform. Oh, it's not enough. They're like, oh, we want peace. Trump tries to get peace in Korea. Oh my God, Orange Man bad. What the fuck are you people smoking? You must be hanging out with Williamson again. I support any overture that could possibly benefit the fight for peace in the Korean Peninsula. Any overture is appropriate in the situation, because you've also got to understand something else. Until the last few years, we were not dealing with a fully nuclear North Korea. We were dealing with a North Korea that had tested a couple of relatively primitive, like our efforts in the 40s style, atomic weapons, and not with a 100% success rate. Now they've tested what they consider an H-bomb, either that or it was a number of atomic weapons hooked together, or a very large atomic weapon, something like we developed in the late 40s, early 50s. It's not exactly the most efficient design or device. It's not exactly, it's not, the Tsar bomb or something like that, but it's considerably better. Based on the magnitude of earthquake generated by their most recent test, it was either a primitive H-bomb design or it was something else, a very large atomic weapon. Regardless, it shows they either have more nuclear material or a more sophisticated design. The other risk is always this. What happens if they do something wrong? and one of these weapons they're developing goes critical in a factory somewhere, you know, they're not assembling it in the tunnel and probably shipping it there. What happens if they accidentally, you know, nuke themselves? What the fuck do you think is going to happen? What happens if China detects that as you know, some sort of sabotage and starts fighting, or invades North Korea? Oh my God, we can't do anything to stop it anymore. You know, quick, rush the border, get 1 million men in there, double quick. What happens? It'd be fucking anarchy. It'd be a free-for-all. It'd probably bring about a nuclear standoff. The U.S. is in the region. You've got Russia right on their border. South Korea and Japan would be like scrambling to get involved. It'd be the rush for North Korea. Can we possibly think of a situation in which it's a good idea to avoid that? I find it funny that people are like, oh, you know, we're liberals, you know, Trump, orange man bad if he talks, you know, in any sense about Iran. Oh my God, we can't do anything there. But if he wants peace in North Korea, that's also bad. So he's wrong if he makes peace overtures. He's wrong if he strong arms a country. He's wrong if he sanctions, and he's wrong if he removes sanctions. I think I see the definition of Trump derangement syndrome here. And that's really what it's about. They're not willing to give him any credit. I think that if there's even the remote possibility of a lasting peace in Korea, absolutely we should push for it. Thank goodness Trump's number one willing to do that. Number two, he's pretty adept at it. Look at the progress that's been made. The real success of Trump so far hasn't been in U.S.-North Korean relations. That's just a floor show. But by showing that mutual respect, by showing, hey, I can step into your country, I know you're not going to stab me in the back or something, that allows the Republic of Korea and North Korea to negotiate further. It allows the two Koreas to solve their differences. They're the main actors in this. The U.S. is simply the guarantor and backer of South Korea. Just like China is involved. They're simply the backer and guarantor, well, not backer much anymore, of North Korea. We're interested parties that happen to guarantee the stability of the region with our militaries. But they're the two Koreas. They're the only people that lay claim to the peninsula. They're the Koreans. They're in Korea. It's not a piece of the U.S. South Korea is not a U.S. state. North Korea is not a province of China. It's not beholden to Beijing. It's its own autonomous, well, semi-autonomous kingdom of sorts. Communistic Juche kingdom. You know, a lot of people I think on the left are just sad because if North Korea disappears, it's another communist nation, at least in name, that stopped existing. Mainly because people there got tired of the constant war footing. There goes motorcycle neighbor again, always a fun time when I'm recording videos. I don't mind it as much. I think he finally got a muffler. But I mean, seriously, he's the first U.S. president to do this. This takes some balls, because it could have been a big optics loss. Think about this. Let's say that Kim Jong-un doesn't like Trump, doesn't want peace. Fuck Trump, basically. He wanted to one-up him. Let him walk across into North Korea and then push him back out or something. Have the guards, like, escort him back across. Or stop him when he tries to cross the line or something like that. Could have been a major diplomatic disaster. Trump didn't give a fuck. He walked right across. I think that's a good thing. And of course, you know, there was never any real risk involved, but no other president's been fucking doing it. Trump shouldn't deal with dictators. Okay, so we should just leave the dictators alone to be dictatorial, and we should never try to achieve peace because we happen not to agree with these people. This is the same fundamentally screwed up mentality that keeps violence going in our own streets. Oh, bash the fash, throw milkshakes and rocks and shit at people. Like, it doesn't matter if we've actually identified a totalitarian. Yeah, that dude in a MAGA cap, well, he's got a MAGA cap on. He must be a fascist dude. Fucking throw a milkshake at him. Oh, it's just a milkshake. What are you snowflakes worried about? No, we're not. We can't coexist with or talk to or tolerate the existence of certain groups of people. We have to punch people in order to prevent a violent uprising or, I don't know, whatever illogical thing the commies are saying these days. Man, don't call yourself a liberal if you don't want to see peace in the Korean Peninsula. You can come out and say, I don't believe Trump can achieve it. Yeah, of course. I mean, at any given time, just because Trump shakes Kim's hand and goes across the DMZ doesn't magically mean an era of warm relations or something like that. But it gets the ball rolling. It's a start. Negotiations can continue. It's a lot warmer than the Hanoi conference that fell apart after, 12 fucking hours. Because again, of the Boltonites insisting on denuclearization. Now, Trump has stated that again, but he's also said it's not on a timetable. Here's what I think. And this is what I think he's moving towards, and if he does, he's a fucking genius, and he will be remembered fondly for this, bringing about peace in Korea potentially, or laying the groundwork thereof. It seems that he's more focused on trying to get the two Koreas to sign a true peace treaty. If that happens, in the absence of U.S. or Chinese involvement, with or without us signing anything, That will allow denuclearization to begin because there will no longer be any justification for Western intervention in North Korea. And there will no longer be any justification for them to bother with a nuclear program because they spent half a century, well, at least talking about wanting nukes, saying it was a deterrent. Oh, it's to prevent us from being invaded by the evil imperialists. Well, if the evil imperialists can't invade you because there's no longer a need for a nuclear deterrent, because there's no war, there's no hostility, who cares? They'll probably sell their nuclear weapons. Hell, let's buy them up and put them in our nuclear plants or do whatever it is they do with them. I mean, they'll probably give them to France. Everyone wants the French to dispose of their nuclear weapons. Why is it that France gets to do that? Why don't we get that cool job? Can I buy one? Can I have an atomic bomb? I can think of some good things to do with that. Put it inside a big-ass rocket and I'll just blast myself off into the moon and I'll die, but it'll be pretty funny. Then my remains can be... Aren't there a few... Wasn't there one lunar orbiter with humans on it that crashed and burned and their remains might be on the moon? Are there anyone's remains, like, I know there are some people who've died in outer space and stuff like that, but I mean, like, on another planet or asteroid or something. I'm not sure. I'll have to study my space history a little bit more. It is a fascinating thing, especially in the early days of testing when there were some rocket mishaps. That's about all. Peace out.